Hi there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I'm back again for yet another deck tech, and this one is something. It's not that unusual when you see the commander, I'm going to be honest about that, but it is one of the decks that I love playing, and it's one of the decks that I first played when I first started playing Magic, or when I first started taking commander seriously. But the commander has changed a little bit since those times. And I think when you see the commander in a second, it'll probably give away the whole game of what I'm trying to do with this. So, this is one of the few decks that I play with regularly on stream that actually have fully built in paper, apart from one card I think is in the deck that I don't own, and you'll probably work out what that is in a minute. And if you can't, I'll tell you when you show you the deck list. But just so you know what the commander is in this deck, this is the commander. It's Esika, God of the Tree. A 1/4 for a 1/2 green. Vigilance, add 1 mana of any colour. Other legendary creatures you control have vigilance and add mana. That bit's irrelevant, completely irrelevant for this deck. What we're interested in is the Prismatic Bridge. One of each of the colours. At the beginning of your upkeep, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature or a Planeswalker card. Put that card onto the battlefield, the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. That's the bit we're interested in this deck, because this deck is Super Friends. It is a deck that I have played numerous times at numerous events. The only card in here that I do not own is Mana Crypt in real life, and I've actually got an extra land in my deck to make up for that. But the lands themselves, just for this, are all the type of lands you would expect to see, because I kept it very close to my real life deck. So there's none of the original dual lands in here and so on and so forth. Terramorphic Expanse is there. We've got Field of the Rune, Field of the Dead. We've got Overgrown Tomb, Reliquary Tower, so on and so forth. One of each basic. This is purely the same as my mana bases in real life. Mox Tantalite I own, Soul Talisman I own, Soul Ring I own, Arcane Signet I own, Chromatic Lantern, Coalition Land, Relic I own for this deck. The only thing I don't have is a Mana Crypt, and if I remember correctly, at the moment, what's being played in there is the artifact from Kaldheim that you can kick, and I can't remember the name of it at the moment, but I'm sure someone can tell me in the comments. But that's the difference between this one you're seeing in front of you and the one I have in real life. Now, you've probably all seen Super Friends decks before, and you're probably wondering, why are you doing this? Well, one of the discussions on the stream, the link's down below, come and give me a follow. That we've had recently was about your favourite deck, and this is by far and away my favourite deck. This is the only deck I regularly update on Magic Online to make the same as what I've got in real life, and that's why I've done this deck tech today. Yes, it's not very interesting. Yes, you'll have seen it all before, but it's just worth going through it because it is something I love talking about, and I think a lot of people should have a Super Friends deck. Is my take on it. So yeah, bear that in mind. So got the ramp bit done. There is one of each Oath. So Oath of Nissa lets you tap all your mana for any colour after you've looked to the top 3 and got a Planeswalker. Oath of Chandra deals 3 damage when it comes into play to a creature an opponent controls, and if you cast a Planeswalker, it shocks everyone at the end of your during your end step, isn't it? At the beginning of each end step, you have Planeswalker in the battlefield under your control, deals 2 damage to each opponent, so if you shock everyone. Oath of Ajani makes your Planeswalkers cheaper, which is why this is here, so they cost 1 less to cast. Oath of Gideon gives you some core allies when it comes into play, and then when you play Planeswalkers, gives them an extra loyalty counter when it comes in. Oath of Jace, when it enters battlefield, draw 3, dump 2. Not so great, but hey, we deal with it. And Oath of Liliana, everyone sacrifices a creature, which you're not bothered with, actually not playing really any at all. And as long as your Planeswalker enters a turn, you get a 2/2 zombie, which is quite nice. You get a little blocker every so often. Search for Tomorrow's here, just to go and find the basic land we need. We've got one of each in the deck, so we can always go and find a missing one, hopefully. Oath of Kaya is to do a kind of deal 3, gain 3, and then whenever you attack a Planeswalker you control with 1 or more creatures, it deals 2 damage to that plane, you gain some life. So it's quite a nice way of slowing down the board from attacking you. Royal Sinians you've seen. Oko's in here. Aminatu, the Fate Shift is in. This is a new edition, so I picked one up from Double Masters, and I decided to get one to play on here as well. It's actually really cheap on MTGO, so I was really happy about that. Along with Dakin Shadow Slayer, this is another one. Comes into play equal to the number of loyalty counters to the number of lands you have, which is lovely. You get to surveil too, so you get to manipulate the top of your library. You get to exile a creature that's annoying you, or you get to put an artifact from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield. So if someone's got rid of your key artifacts here, or some of the ones that are coming up, you get to get them back. Gideon as a nice way to exile everything else and then basically start attacking by turning it into a creature. Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, so we can actually win the game if we sort of like mill ourselves out. Chandra the Firebrand. Now, I am just trying to play one of each type of Planeswalker. If I had the other Chandra, I would probably play it in here, which is a lot better than this one. But hey, I got this one when I built this deck, and this is still what I've got in real life, so it's staying true. Garrick, because I love untapping lands. Dovin, because I like gaining life and drawing cards. And occasionally you get to do the +1 and shut down a creature that's annoying you. Narset, because the chances are you're going to find a non-land, non-creature card when you reveal it, so you get to draw. And, the -9 is very nice. Your opponents can't cast non-creature spells. Thank you very much. Tezzeret, so we can create some artifact tokens and to speed up our way of getting our planeswalkers into play. Occasionally the -2 works, and obviously the -7, if we get there, yes, okay, then we'll have some artifacts we can turn into 5/5 creatures. Thank you. Ral Zarek, because who doesn't want to flip 5 coins and take 5 extra turns and really upset all your opponents? So that's why he's here. Saheeli the Gifted is a change. I did have a different version of Saheeli in here, but I went with this one because it does produce a servo to protect itself, and you can +1 to cast. The next spell you cast this turn costs 1 less to cast for each artifact you control as you cast it. So that's quite nice because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it could give you quite a significant reduction. There's some more artifacts coming yet you haven't seen. Nahiri, just for the looting effect, but also because we can -2 it to exile an enchantment and artifact or tap creature, so they're very helpful. Kiora, just to stop things dealing us damage, and occasionally we'll draw a card and play the extra land. It's only got 2 loyalty, this version of Kiora, so it's a little bit harsh, but if we can get up to the -5, it's really nice. Gadrin Dihar is something I'm trying out. I don't know if it's going to work or not. Again, I picked one up in real life, so it's gone into the one in real life and the one on here. We'll see what happens, see if it works or not. Urza's Ruinous Blast is a bit of a no-brainer. We'll have a lot of legendary permanents in play, and we can exile everything that isn't. So, we could just be left with a field full of planeswalkers, and our opponents have nothing apart from maybe their commanders. Doomscar to control the board. Tamio to tap things, and then -8 whenever a card is put in your graveyard from anywhere, you turn it to your hand. Thank you very much. Yagamoth's Vile Offering to return a planeswalker that has been killed to play. Liliana Vest, because I've got several versions of Liliana now, but this was still the first one I had, so it still stays in the deck. Likewise, Obnixus, the Black Oath, is in as well. Obviously, between this and Saheeli, you could create just a planeswalker commander deck, but they're in here because of what they are. The key card, probably the most expensive card in the deck currently, is Doubling Season. It's fantastic. If you don't know the interaction, if you've got this in play and you play a Planeswalker, it comes in with double the amount of loyalty counters on it. Basically, it means most of the Planeswalkers in this deck, with this in play, can be ultimated on the turn they come in, and you will just start winning the game quite happily. Freyleys to help with the mana production. Vivian Ray to destroy again artifacts or creatures with flying. The +1 occasionally helps out to get you some land you may need, so bear that in mind. The other oaths in Oath of Teferi, you can activate loyalty abilities of planeswalkers you control twice each turn rather than only once. That's quite nice. As so, you have to have Teferi, Hero, Dominaria in, because this is the one we got given. I have already had a version of this in my deck, so it's gone in here now. Events I love. You've got quite a few ways of producing tokens, and making them unblockable does mean you can Alpha Strike occasionally. But, +2 exile a target permanent and return it. Thank you very much, because you exile it, it comes back into play. You get to double the counters on some of your planeswalkers. Thank you very much. Ashiok to protect itself and get those nightmares. Vraska is a nice cheeky way of potentially, with Doubling Season, just hitting the -7 and getting all those assassins and killing your opponents. If you have this with Venser in play, make them all unblockable, you can just kill all your opponents with a load of 1/1s. It's quite a fun little combo. Hilltide Warrior Poet to produce the dinosaurs and then gain some life. Ajani, because, +1 does go and let's find a Planeswalker from the top 4 cards, so that's lovely. Nico Bolas, because it's a Planeswalker deck, and Nico Bolas gets to have everyone's ability, which is quite weird, but good fun. And Sarkhan, because the -2 does give you a nice big blocker in the air. Elspeth to control the board and give you some soldiers to block with. Khan's Temporal Sundering to take an extra turn and bounce something that's annoying you. Morkenheim is in as well. I've brought this in from the Forgotten Realms now, and I just wanted to play it out in here. Yeah, Dog Illusions are quite good fun. Teferi Temporal Archmage. Yep, I want to be that person who gets to -10. Have a thing that lets me activate them more than once any turn, and at an instant. On you control on any player's turn, you could cast an instant. With this, with the Oath, yeah. Thank you very much. Twice a turn on my opponent's turn. Lovely. Will and Rowan are in, so we can get the pairing going, so they can go and find each other, which is nice. Vraska is in as well, this version. This probably shouldn't be in here now, but I haven't quite found a replacement yet, because I did like the pirates and the treasure ability, so that's really nice. Planar Bridge, go and find a permanent, put it on the battlefield for, well, quite a lot of mana in the end of the day, but hopefully we'll get to go and find a Planeswalker we need. Likewise, Ugin's in. Twice the Ineffable and the Spirit Dragon, they're both in for this version. Again, I will be replacing this along with, probably these two will disappear out of the deck at some stage and replaced with more reasonable Planeswalkers or different named ones to keep it going. Yeah, the Wandering one springs to mind when it comes down in value. Primeval's Glorious Rebirth brings all our Planeswalkers back from our graveyard when they've been killed off, as long as we've got one in play. Likewise, so does Eerie Ultimatum, that's why in there, but this brings back everything. Because everything's obviously a different name in Commander, so you get them all back. Anything that's in your graveyard gets to come back into play, with the exception of Search for Tomorrow, because everything else is a permanent. Ugin I've mentioned, and then just down the end here, Kamal's Druidic Vow is a nice way of sort of like doing a specialised version of Genesis Wave for this deck. And finally, Omniscience. If you can get Omniscience into play, you are going to win the game, because you are going to cast everything in your hand for free. You're going to draw more cards, you're going to cast them for free, and you're just going to keep going and going and going, and eventually your opponents will quit. Now, what I will say about this deck, and I'll say it here and now, once people work out what you're playing, you become the biggest target in the game. However, it is fun, it is reasonably priced on MTGO, and I love playing it. I haven't played it for a while on stream. It's something I treat myself to when I'm feeling a bit down. So at the moment, I'm feeling a bit... No, I'm not feeling down. Don't panic about my mental health. If you are having a mental health problem, please go and seek some help, by the way. But when I'm feeling a bit after a day at work, go play this deck. It just makes you laugh, and people's faces when they work out what you're playing. Yes, you do tend to die first, but it's just so much fun trying to do it, and when it goes off, nothing can stop you, believe me. I have seen it happen, especially in Commander, and no one can do anything about it, because once you start getting those Planeswalkers out, once you get 2 or 3 Planeswalkers out, your opponents are going to be in a world of hurt. If you get 8 out, I've had a game where I've had 15 Planeswalkers in play, and my opponents have sat there gone, yeah, we're not playing anymore, we quit. Someone did send me a block message on MTGO because I did that, whereas the other 2 people thought it was fantastic, because, they've been playing really good decks. I was playing this, and they thought it was fantastic they were losing to 15 Planeswalkers. So, it is good fun. Yes, Esika, you can play any 5-colour legend here you want to play, by the way. I've had Sliver Queen. You could play it with Sliver Queen, any one of the 5-colour slivers. You could play it with Kenrith. Anything going. I'm playing it because the Prismatic Bridge really helps you cheat some of the Planeswalkers out early in the game. So, that's why it's there. So, I hope you've enjoyed a little tour of my favourite deck ever. You'll see it on stream at some stage, but leave me a comment down below. Let me know if there's anything you think I've missed that should be in the deck. As I say, this is my pet deck in real life, so any comments I get on this will really be beneficial. So thanks for watching this, and hopefully I'll see you on our little stream soon. The link's down below. Come give me a follow. Take care, and I will see you soon on stream with a bit of luck. Laters.